In the kingdom of Azura, where the sun dipped into the horizon and painted the sky with hues of crimson and gold, Prince Obinna struggled with the weight of his father's dark secrets. King Malachi, a ruthless ruler, was feared by his people. They whispered about the mysterious disappearances and gruesome discoveries, but none dared to accuse the king directly. Obinna's suspicions grew as he witnessed his father's increasingly erratic behavior. One fateful night, he followed King Malachi to a hidden temple deep in the forest. There, he discovered the horrifying truth. His father was sacrificing innocent lives to a malevolent deity. The air was thick with the stench of blood and smoke as Obinna watched in horror. His father's eyes gleamed with an otherworldly intensity, and his voice was like thunder as he invoked the dark powers. Obinna knew he had to act, but his feet felt rooted to the spot. As the ritual reached its climax, Obinna turned and ran, not stopping until he was back in the safety of his chambers. He couldn't shake the image of his father's twisted face or the sound of the victim's screams. Days passed, and Obinna struggled to come to terms with what he had seen. He knew he couldn't confront his father directly. Not yet. He needed to gather allies and uncover the truth about the curse that had consumed his family. Obinna began to secretly meet with a small group of trusted friends, including his childhood companion, Elian. Together, they pored over ancient texts and sought out whispers of a secret society sworn to protect the kingdom from the curse. As Obinna delved deeper into the mystery, he uncovered a web of deceit and corruption that went far beyond his father's actions. He discovered that the kingdom's advisors and nobles were complicit in the king's crimes, and the people were living in a state of terror. One night, as Obinna walked in the castle gardens, he was approached by a hooded figure. "Prince Obinna," the figure whispered, "I have information about your father's activities. Meet me in the old windmill on the outskirts of the kingdom at midnight." Obinna's heart raced as he made his way to the windmill. Who was this mysterious figure, and what did they know about his father's secrets? Obinna approached the old windmill, his heart pounding in his chest. The hooded figure was already there, waiting in the shadows. "Who are you?" Obinna demanded, hand on the hilt of his sword. The figure stepped forward, revealing a woman with piercing green eyes. "I am Arya, a member of a secret society, sworn to protect the kingdom from the curse." Arya led Obinna deep into the windmill, where ancient artifacts and forbidden knowledge lay hidden. She revealed the dark history of the curse and the terrible truth about Obinna's family. "The curse was forged in blood and darkness," Arya explained. "Your ancestors made a pact with a malevolent deity, trading power for souls. But the curse comes at a terrible cost, slowly consuming the minds and hearts of those who wield it." Obinna felt like he had been punched in the gut. He had suspected that something was wrong, but he had never imagined anything like this. "What can I do?" he asked, feeling a sense of desperation creeping in. Arya's eyes locked into his. "You must break the curse, Obinna. You must reject the throne and your birthright, or risk becoming like your father." Obinna hesitated, torn between his desire for justice and the fear of succumbing to the same darkness. His father's words echoed in his mind. "Sooner or later, it will be your turn." As Obinna struggled with the moral implications of his father's words, he began to experience strange and terrifying occurrences. He was haunted by dark visions and heard whispers in his mind, tempting him to embrace the curse. Arya's words came back to him. "The curse is powerful, Obinna. It will stop at nothing to claim you." Obinna knew he had to make a choice. He couldn't continue down the path his father had set out for him, and he was also afraid of what would happen if he rejected the curse. Arya, sensing his turmoil, placed a hand on his shoulder. "Come with me, Obinna. Meet the others who are fighting against the curse." She led him through winding tunnels and hidden passages deep into the heart of the kingdom. They emerged into a vast underground chamber, lit by flickering torches and filled with people from all walks of life. Obinna's eyes widened as he took in the scope of the secret society. There were warriors, mages and healers, all united in their quest to break the curse. Arya introduced him to the leader of the society, a wise and aged man named Arenthal. "We have been waiting for you, Obinna," Arenthal said, his eyes piercing. "We know of your destiny and we will help you fulfill it." Obinna spent many hours with the society, learning about their plans and strategies. He discovered that they had been working tirelessly to undermine the curse, using every tool at their disposal. But as he delved deeper into the society, Obinna began to realize that not everything was as it seemed. There were factions within the group, each with their own agenda. Some wanted to use Obinna as a pawn in their game against the curse, while others saw him as the key to unlocking a new era of peace and prosperity. Obinna knew he had to tread carefully, navigating the complex web of alliances and rivalries within the society. He couldn't let himself become a tool for anyone, not even those who claimed to be on his side. As he walked through the chamber, Obinna noticed a figure watching him from the shadows. It was a woman with piercing blue eyes, her face hidden behind a mask. "Who is that?" Obinna asked Arya, nodding towards the mysterious woman. Arya's expression turned guarded. "That is Lyra, a skilled warrior and one of our most powerful members. But be warned, Obinna, she is not to be trusted." Obinna's heart raced as he approached the throne room. He knew that this would be the final confrontation with his father, and he was ready. The doors burst open, and Obinna strode in, his sword at the ready. King Malachi looked up from his throne, a sneer on his face. "So, you've decided to join me?" the king said, his voice dripping with malice. "I knew you had the potential to be a great ruler, just like me." Obinna's grip on his sword tightened. "I'll never be like you, but you are a monster, and it's time someone stopped you." The king laughed, a cold, mirthless sound. "You are no match for me, boy," he sneered. "I have the power of the curse on my side." With a wave of his hand, the king summoned a dark and twisted energy. Obinna raised his sword, ready to face whatever was coming his way. The battle was intense, with both sides trading blows and neither gaining the upper hand. But Obinna knew he had to end it quickly before the curse consumed him completely. With a mighty cry, Obinna struck the final blow, shattering the curse and freeing himself and the kingdom from its grasp. The king let out a defeated roar as he fell to the ground, the darkness dissipating from his body. Obinna stood over him, his chest heaving with exhaustion. "It's over," he said, his voice firm. "The curse is broken, and you'll never hurt anyone again." The king's eyes narrowed, a hint of madness still lurking in their depth. "You may have won this game," he snarled, "but the curse will return, and next time, you won't be so lucky." Obinna's grip on his sword tightened. "I'm not afraid of you," he said, his voice cold, "and I'll always be ready to defend my kingdom against you and your evil." With that, Obinna turned and walked away, leaving the defeated king to his fate. He knew that there would be challenges ahead, but he was ready to face them head-on. Obinna stood on the balcony of the palace, looking out over the kingdom. The sun was rising, casting a golden glow over the land. He felt a sense of pride and accomplishment wash over him. He had done it. He had broken the curse and freed his kingdom from the grip of evil. But he knew that there was still much work to be done. The kingdom was in shambles, and it would take time and effort to rebuild. Obinna turned to face the people gathered behind him. They were his friends and allies, the ones who stood by him through thick and thin. "Today marks a new beginning," he said, his voice ringing out across the land. "A new dawn for our kingdom, and a new era of peace and prosperity." The people cheered, their voices echoing off the walls of the palace. Obinna smiled, feeling a sense of hope and optimism that he had never felt before. He knew that there would be challenges ahead, but he was ready to face them. He was ready to lead his kingdom into a brighter future. And so Obinna set to work, using his skills and abilities to rebuild and restore his kingdom. He worked tirelessly day and night to create a better life for his people. Years passed, and the kingdom flourished, although not under Obinna's leadership, because he knew that if he was king, that curse would continue. There was a new king, but Obinna was by his side to protect him as always. And though the memory of the curse and the evil that had consumed his father never faded, Obinna knew that he had truly made a difference. He had created a new dawn for his people and a brighter future for his people.